How's everybody doing? You guys having a good time? Rock. The musical festivities for the evening are not over, so don't freak out or anything like that. Right now we're getting ready for the American Synth-Pop Awards. And if you don't know what those are, then you need to get plugged into Lexicon magazine and also the website, and you can see what those are all about. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce your host for the ASAs, and that is from Lexicon magazine, Dave Richards.
Hi, how are you all doing? Welcome to the ASAs. And I just thought I'd give you guys a little background as to what these are, because not everyone knows. Basically, they were started last year, and it's online voting. And what we do is we have round robins. So we have the first round. Everybody nominates whoever they want to. Take the top 5 bands or singles or songs or albums for each category. And then we have the second round, and everyone votes just on those 5. And the votes were tallied by the Tyrell Corporation, so they're all signed, sealed, and delivered. And they were counted, and there were about 500 people voting this year, so that's kind of cool. Next year, what I want to do is have, hopefully in a couple months, like a bulletin board or something, so people can discuss some ideas for making them even better. So if you have any ideas about, what would make a good award category or something like that, let me know. And what we're going to do is, when we give out the awards, if the people are here that won, and they want to come up and say thank you, come on up and speak for about a minute, but we're trying to get through this quickly so we can get to Nuclear Sky and Elegant Machinery. So I would like now to introduce a very special guest and the real host of tonight's ceremony, Mr. Kurt Harland.
First rule of any show, never be so late getting up onto the stage that the audience is starting to die down. No, applause is starting to die down. I'm out of practice. I expected there to be a podium so that I could look like, a professor. But I'm really not down here in the capacity of being a celebrity, obviously. I saw this as sort of a professional event, so I'm hopefully here as your colleague, and in that sense I wanted to say probably about all I could possibly tell you after 19 years of being in the music business in one form or another, and still not rich, which should set the tone for what I'm about to say. Whoever's yelling at me, I can't hear you, ha-ha. I wanted to tell you something about how to be in a band and stay relatively sane and happy, because it can be done, actually. But there are a lot of things that are going to sort of influence you to not be able to do that. A little bit about our history. We did a lot of what you guys are going to have to do, and some of what you hope to do. We started out just making the music that pleased us. We were all 19, 18, 20, and we'd say, gosh, we really like that stuff. Let's make something like that, but even cooler or even weirder or something. And we did, and that's probably hopefully, how you all started. Just following what you like and then noticing what you're good at and going with that. And any band that gets anywhere, that's what they're following. And that's what we did too. Then we tried to get in sync with what we heard going on around us and what we liked. Other bands who appeared successful. And we thought, all right, we're doing these 7 different things, but only 2 of them seem to be what everyone else is doing well with. And we went with that. Then we became somewhat popular through completely unexpected means. Nothing we ever looked for. If you had asked us, we could never have thought of that in a million years. That should be a clue to all of you. Keep that in mind. Lots of times it's nothing you would ever imagine that brings you from point A to point Z and a half, or Q. Rarely B. It wasn't for the reasons we would have thought either. Another thing to keep in mind, it's difficult to calculate out what's going to make you successful or not. When you get a certain amount of success, and it's the small successes that really count and teach you something, you'll usually find it's not for what you would have thought it would have been for. It's not because you got the right people to come to your show. Maybe it's because a bunch of people formed a party and came to your show and then told a bunch of other people and then somebody else heard. You can't control it. You don't know what's going to happen. The point is, we were liked for what we were doing as others perceived it, not anything that we figured out and succeeded at. Later on, we had instances in which we could specifically calculate, let's try this, and it might work, but those were all usually pretty short-term things. In the long run, it was, we were doing something, people took it a certain way, and that's why things happened. And with success came a lot of expectations. Our third album was considered a flop for selling about 120,000 copies. And I'm not complaining about that because it makes sense from the point of view of the people who thought that. There were people who were in the business of selling 1 million copies. And to sell 120,000, that didn't work for them. It's just something, no, they didn't suck. It's because they were in a business that was very different from the one that we were in. And in the process, we were asked very often to do what other bands were doing instead of what we knew how to do and what we did naturally. And sometimes we tried with varying degrees of success. And we got to a point where making a living on what we were doing was no longer sufficient. We had other interests like lawyers. We were billed $250 an hour for lawyers' phone calls to Japan to talk to somebody about the possibility of making an SNES game about INSOC, which wasn't our idea, and we didn't know about. These are things you end up paying for. So the labels moved on, and so did we. Starting over felt too daunting, and I wanted to make arty, weird stuff again, and we all wanted to feel more in control of our lives. So that was the end of that phase. It didn't end because we sucked or flopped. It ended because forces that we never controlled that used to converge began to not converge anymore. I hope you're starting to see the theme here of not being in control of anything outside of you and your band and your work and your art and what you actually think and feel and want to do with your music. So after all that, here are the most important things I can tell you, and there are only 2 things that I can tell you after 19 years. 2 things. 1, and you're allowed to laugh at this because it sounds really funny when I say this. Here's my advice to any of you who are in bands. Do what you do it well, and keep doing it. Now, that sounds trivial and obvious, but if you're working in the music business, you will be pressured and asked to do something that other people are doing, do it quickly, and then change what you're doing every 6 months, which is the opposite of that. Here's why I don't agree with doing that. It's a guaranteed method for becoming completely irrelevant. After flip-flopping around for a few years, no one, not even you, will care about your band anymore. Now, the labels are not evil. They're not bad people. In fact, I'm sure there's some people, I hope there are some people from the labels here tonight. And you guys who are in bands have got to understand they're in a very different business than you are. The band's business is turning art and performing into a job. And I don't say that in a bad way. I think a job is a good thing. It's like what you do with your life. And a label's business is selling $15 items in an ever-changing market. Bands and labels are business partners. The label's business is not developing artists' careers. We all, at some point in our lives, all of us in the bands like to say, well, if they would develop our careers, they would make more money. And the truth is, that's probably only true in a few cases for really big labels. Most of you now and in the near future are probably going to be dealing mostly with smaller labels. And it's especially not in the interest of smaller independent labels to invest large time and resources into developing a band's career over a large span of years. Small labels very well might not even want to be doing their small labels 7 years from now. They're likely not to be thinking in those terms, and they have to pay the rent, just like you do. The labels are not your parents. and they're not your employers. I certainly thought they were. And it was one of the more painful misconceptions under which I labored for years. As an artist, you have to hold up your end professionally, and that includes standing by your work. Refusing to change stuff that sucks. I mean, stay with what you do uniquely well, even if other people who are doing polka rap are getting in the charts that week. If you do synth-pop, you do synth-pop. Which brings us to the 3 points I mentioned. Do what you do. As soon as you hit one level of success, you will begin to be asked to do what somebody else is doing instead. Don't. Don't do what other people are doing instead, even if they're number 1 on the chart and you're only number 7, or if you're not on the chart. You must accept that the first flush of cutting-edge fame is just an initial phase on the way to further and better phases. It's like the first few months of being in love. It's not meant to be that way forever. It's something that builds a foundation on which you build further things that you have. The labels generally do not care about this. They're not in the business of thinking this way. If you were cutting edge famous last year, and Skippy and the Beeswax is famous this year, they will ask you to change into Skippy and the Beeswax. Don't, because you will be really bad at that, and they'll be good at it. Small labels are not going to spend 8 years building your career, especially since you'll just move on to a bigger label anyway, assuming you don't break up or go into rehab first, which from their point of view is a really strong possibility, unless they know you personally. Also, by the time you write and record all new material, the person who asked you to change into a rap band or something, or if you are a rap band, into a synth-pop band, or whatever they want you to change into, they will have moved on, or been fired, or changed their mind, or gotten a better job somewhere else, or, gone to Tibet to join a monastery. Something will have changed, probably, and you'll be left with an interesting demo tape that your friends don't understand and that your bassist left the band over. Depeche Mode, for example, are certainly no longer, hot or cutting edge. They're an artist. They're an artist that everyone respects and loves. Yeah, right. But they're not in that first flush of cutting edge fame, and yet they have solid careers, which I assume is what most of you want. I mean, I'm guessing most of you care more about a long-term solid career as a person who makes music than whether you manage to have a DJ say that they're hot at some point. Because I've heard people say that Information Society is hot. And I've had times when I felt like I've had significant long-term achievements, and I can tell you I like the latter a lot better, even if it doesn't garner fame. Third one, do it well. Do what you do well. This is really what you should spend your time doing, is like the thing that you do, the thing that you're known for. You have to use your own judgment on the difference between your own style and a gimmick. I'm not going to make that distinction for you. I think you can all do it. Probably spending a week on getting the snare compression just right is not the thing that you need to be polishing. Probably things like, well, keeping track of what your music says to people, how it's perceived by them, what experience people have hearing your music, the relationship that the people who hear your music have with it. This is what is yours that you develop, that you're going to keep doing and do well, even when people ask you to change into a klezmer act or something. And I keep exaggerating when I say what they want you to change into, but I'm not kidding. It's a big issue. The people at the record companies need to stay in business and succeed, and I respect that. And they're looking at the marketplace. They're not looking at you. They're saying, well, this is successful this year, and we can get a product out by September that could be successful. If it was this kind of music, would you please do it? And the answer is, I'm sorry, no. And that's painful to you, because you guys are all waiting around for who knows how long, waiting for somebody to show some interest in you. And when somebody does, it's hard to say no. If you want to try to be a band that you're not, go ahead. If you succeed, I'd like you to call me and tell me how the hell you did it, because I've never seen it happen. Perfect and develop your thing and be known for it. And don't worry too much about diversity within what you do. People have a lot of diversity in their record collections. And if you have an album that has 7 different kinds of music on it, they may respect you for that, but I don't know how much they're going to like your album. This is a matter of a lot of debate. Some people don't agree with me, and they may be right. but I think it's good to hone what you do and produce collections of music that are contiguous, but not continuous, that sound like it's all from the same artist. And then finally, keep doing it. You will be asked, as I said, to change into a different band, and you'll be asked to change everything about what you're doing from like one year to the next in way too fast of a cycle for it to ever bear fruit. Just don't. Just say no to changing into a different band. And it's like life. It's better to be good at being yourself than bad at being somebody else. People will smell that you are not genuine. If I were to try to be a rap artist, people's response would not be to judge whether I was doing good rap. It would be, this guy is not pulling this off. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look natural. I know I couldn't do it, so I don't. By the time you spend months making new songs and changing everything, like I said, the A&R guy will have been fired anyway. Making more music and doing more shows will do more for you probably than dealing and wheeling. Second thing I want to tell you, of the two things I've learned, if you've got anyone in your band who does not write songs and is not and never will be the lead singer of the band, then you have to immediately start paying them for everything they do. Every show they play, every rehearsal they show up to, you have to pay them and make it clear to them that they don't own the band. They don't have a share in the corporation. They don't get any publishing for the songs. They don't get the profit. And if you go hungry, they don't. They get paid. Even if the show lost money, you still have to pay them. Trust me, I'm not even going to explain it. Just believe me. Down the road, you'll be shocked at how bad four guys in their basement going, hey, we can share everything, it's fine, can get if one guy is writing all the songs and one guy is the lead singer and the other two aren't. So to sum up, man, it's all about the music and the shows you naturally make, not the biz. I was trying my LA voice. Did that work? I think you're not supposed to be sarcastic when you say it. If your primary goal is to get a job, then do ads or game music. That's what I did, and my bandmate did after we stopped doing albums for major labels in '93. And I'm saying all this because I wish I had known, but I probably wouldn't have listened. I know I just sort of contradicted myself by using the word job in two different contexts, but what I mean is, if what you want is the shortest path between where you are now and making money soon, then what you need is like employment. And being a band and having records with labels is a business partnership. It's a whole different thing. So be sure about that. If what you really want is employment now, go into something like ads or game music or film scores or whatever you can get. And that is all I know. So, I don't do this anymore. Julie Brown wouldn't let me do it anymore. Now, I'm having a faith moment. I have faith that somewhere in this room where I can't see because there's bright lights shining in my face, somewhere there's a person who has awards and they're going to like come up and hand them to me if I read this. There is. Yes, Dave has confirmed my faith. I hope you guys are here. Anyone who wins an award and isn't here will earn my scorn, unless they have a good excuse like those international guys. Should I do this in a movie phone voice? Hello, and welcome to the ASA Awards. Rated R. That was for my girlfriend Katie, who loves it when I talk like that. And the winner of, and I'm sorry, I don't understand this category. The words are the winner of the various artists set. And that's a collection of three words that I don't understand, so I hope I'm reading it right. Is, amazingly enough, a tie between the amazing shadow dancing and the astounding electricity. So right now, an award is going to be presented to them. No, 2 awards are going to be presented, 1 each. Now, if somebody doesn't walk up here and take them from me, I'm going to have to start like telling jokes or something. Okay, fine, Dave. You take them back.
Todd, is Todd here?
Is Todd here? Yeah.
Hey. Hey guys. I get this for you. No, I don't know. Had to say something cool. The Shadow Dancing compilation was probably the favorite compilation I've ever had putting together, because I decided I would use no band that was signed to a different drums label and try to use no band that had a whole lot of exposure. So I was going to use stuff that I thought was awesome, that needed to be heard, that hadn't been heard yet. And so that's why I think it turned out really cool. I loved it so much that I made another one, which just came out this last week. And it's 3 CDs this time, so, you know, hey. Anyway, thanks for your support.
I just wanted to say, gosh, it's such a surprise. But I wanted to thank all the artists, and I also wanted to thank Symphony for their the remix album, and also Kinetic Records for the Kinetic art, the other 2 nominees, and they were really great. And also, give it up for Marie, our lovely assistant who's handing them out.
Practicality sometimes dictates fashion. That's better. For the 2 nominees who didn't get read for that last award, haha, you're a victim of my failure. The nominees for the best song are Cosmicity's Digital Delays, Ganymede's City Dweller, Synthpop's Tennis Boyfriend, which is a title I really like, Count to Infinity's Space Age Love Song, and B Machine's Opal. You seem to be a prescient audience, because of course the winner is Count to Infinity's Space Age Love Song. It even has their name on it. This is yours.
Oh my God. Thank you so much to everyone who voted. This means a lot to me. It's the first thing I've ever won for making music, so I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I can tell he is a well-loved man. The nominees for remixes were Shades of Grey's The Future's Over, Gary Flanagan's All We Are, and Nuclear Sky's The Stuff of Magic, which of course is spelled with a CK at the end, which should give you a bit of an impression of the Society for Creative Anachronism, of which I know many of you are members. And the winner is, of course, Nuclear Sky's The Stuff of Magic, because they spelled it with the K at the end. And they're the best dressed. Wow.
Holy shit. Okay, so I'm unprepared. This is awesome, and on behalf of Bobby and myself, I want to thank everybody in this room and all the organizers and all the fans of Synth-Pop. This is so cool. So, Bobby.
Thank you. And I want to thank Howard Shore for getting me started.
Thank you.
There is also an award for Best New Artist, which could go to either Load, Synthpop, Ganymede, Monolithic, or Kaj. However, it actually goes to Synthpop. You can tell I'm not lying because it says Synthpop right on here.
Information Society was my first show ever, so this is an honor.
It was what?
My first
Your
show.
first show? I don't remember you playing with us. VNV Nation is here? Okay. Okay. Nonetheless, now these are the guys who aren't here, right? Okay. But you guys will know that the nominees for the winner of the Best International Band were VNV Nation, Apoptygma Bezirk, I was able to pronounce that, Ubski-Ir, Neuropa, and Mesh, and it has been decided that Neuropa were the winners. Now, Dave, is there someone here to take the award for Neuropa? There is indeed. It appears to be Todd again, our favorite SynthCon celebrity.
On the behalf, or for the behalf, or whatever you say, Jason and Albert, they're awesome. They're from Down Under. This is awesome. Thanks.
The nominees for Best Album were After the Fall by Ganymede, The Binary Language of Love by Cosmicity, Freeze Pop Forever by Freeze Pop, Ghosts I Have Been by Faith Assembly, and Power Undiminished by Monolithic. I've always wanted to say this.
And the winner is...
Power Undiminished by Monolithic.
All right, this was definitely, I definitely paid Dave for this. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you, love you, thank you. I really didn't expect to get this because my email list is rather small, but I really, really appreciate your support, and the reason that I came tonight, that I even continue to write music, is because of you, because of your emails, because of the love and support that I receive from you. And that's it. That's my payment for everything I do. Thank you.
We have one more award to give out for Best Artist, the nominees for which are Freeze Pop, Cosmicity, Ganymede, Shades of Grey, and Monolithic. Since this is the last award, we have to build this up fairly well. So I'm going to ask for a lot of wet, spitty drum rolls.
And the winner is... for Best New Artist at the 2001 SynthCon Awards.
The band known as Cosmicity. Todd, say what he would have said.
His plane left this morning, so I'm sorry. But he wanted me to say something to you guys. I never have felt so awake.
We are done, and so am I. Thanks for listening to me for 10 whole minutes. It's the first time that's happened in years. So good night and have fun.